order. Sellers orders or sellers home warranties, you hardly need any information, just the property info, what kind of plan they want. But for a buyer's warranty, it's only 6 pieces of information. So we just need the buyer's agent, their phone and email if possible, as well as the buyer name, the phone and email as well. It just helps a lot with the customer service side, claim communication, as well as they get some extra benefits with the phone and email. Number 3 is going to be escrow, the information, so we can send that to them for payment. Property address, the home warranty budget, or the desired coverage, whichever is preferred, and then the close date. And that's it.
One of the things I know I've run into because I order through one of my tracking services, and for everybody who's just joining us, the reason I'm not on video is, well, it's Zoom and there's always a problem, so that's we're just rolling with it. But one of the problems that I've run into is a lot of times is trying to explain to the home warranty individual or whoever's responding, they start asking when it's everybody on the email for me to send buyer info or this type of things, and a lot of times we don't want to do that. So, what's the best way to help your side of the industry understand? Hey, I'm trying desperately not to give the listing side my buyer's email address, and that's why you're not getting it in the original, at least the orders that I place. That's why I circle back.
Absolutely. And that makes total sense. And, when I first started my job, I didn't understand why, but totally understand now after being a couple years in. And that's totally fine, and, it's not 100% required when buyers are going to place a claim. They're going to have to put their email in through the online portal. That's how their communication is processed. So they'll eventually put their own email in. That way the sellers won't have it. But to make it easy and communication, at the start is either the TC or the agent can just provide the information on a separate email chain, just like what you do, which is perfect.
Okay, awesome. The other thing that I've run into or always wondered, so we'll give a confirmation, which is just, the sheet with all the prices, what we've ordered, blah, 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 blah. What does the client receive after close of escrow? Like, what information are they getting? Because I'm kind of assuming you guys are sending a welcome packet, but sometimes I hear they do and they don't, and then nobody can find anything.
Right. So we always mail after we actually get the payment from escrow. That means it's closed, right? In our eyes, and so we'll send them a mailed check, not a mailed check, a mailed information with all of their contact or all of our contact info. It says, what is in their plan, our brochure, so exactly what our inclusions or exclusions are. But that's why we also like the email up front, because anyone that is put, at least on our system, anyone that's email is put into the ordering form is they actually get an automatic email. And so before closing, your buyer can, just see what their coverage is. They can add coverage. They can, prepare to remove coverage in the future if they want to once the home closes, whatever they want to do.
And with that adding coverage, I know that's been an issue too regarding how long they're allowed to add coverage, and then also how soon does the coverage go into effect?
Yeah, so coverage with us starts immediately the day after closing. So they can't place a claim the same day, but they can place a claim that next day, the day after closing. And so even if we don't have the paid check from escrow, they can still place a claim up to 14 days until that check arrives. If the check does not arrive within 14 days, then they'll be just past due. That doesn't mean they, can't use their home warranty anymore, or there's nothing like that. In terms of changes, they just can't place a claim until we get the payment either from escrow or someone pays it, if that makes sense. Some companies as well, it kind of depends on which company it is. We have a 30-day max deadline after the close of escrow to add more coverage. I believe some other companies are 60 days. There could possibly be a 90-day, but I'm not 100% sure about that.
Okay. And then what's a red flag? What's going to cause I mean, obviously not having contact
Yeah.
information, needing money, those two things make total sense. What are some other red flags that you have or have you seen that have been issues on trying to get either a claim filled or trying to coordinate and take care of our clients?
Yeah, great question. This is probably the biggest one, is what is actually going to get covered and what can hinder coverage, for the buyers. Number one is, it's not necessary that you need a home inspection, but I'm sure every home warranty rep would advise that you do have a home inspection, because what you guys are dealing with is we are home warranty, but we are basically an insurance company. We're insurance. And so what that means is, they're not going to cover anything that is, not functioning, especially very properly, or if it's, it's not working at all at this before the start of the contract, they're not going to cover those things. There's also some things on a home inspection where your system is working, but there is something there's a severe issue there that can actually hinder a home warranty claim going through. And so something like that could be, for an example, a condensate line with your HVAC AC system. Sometimes those lines, if they're really old, they have actually like an insulation surrounding that could actually really protect your system from either over freezing or overheating. And so if that is damaged, that can actually cause an issue with your guys' system that wouldn't normally happen. And so home warranty companies out there can actually deny those types of claims. And so a home inspection, number one, is very important. Number two is claims in the first 30 to 45 days. Obviously, that's just a red flag to the home warranty company. It doesn't mean you can't get coverage, of course. Some companies might, deny those claims. At least with us, you can have a claim the day after, at the close of escrow or the payment from escrow. Just like I said before, however, they're going to most likely ask for that home inspection, if there's a claim in the first 30 to 45 days. Also keep in mind is something I've learned through the business. I knew nothing about systems and things like that before I started this job. However, is some things can or are highly more likely to fail in the first 30 days, and some things are just not. And so one example might be, like a plumbing leak that can happen at any time, at any moment of any day. Something like a HVAC compressor, that's something that, doesn't usually just fail in 2 or 3 days. It's usually a problem over time. So just look out for those types of things on those home inspections as well.
Well, and I know it's been an education process I've had with several of my clients when somebody will put into writing, oh, well, don't worry, the home warranty will cover
Yes,
it. I'm like, no, if it's not working before we close, guys, that's not going to happen.
right. Exactly.
And well, and then that's such a huge liability to the agents who are speaking, without educating themselves. So thank you. It was really important to me to have it, they hear it from me. They're like, you don't know what to check. I'm like, okay, I'll get the expert. Here you go.
Absolutely. And that's I don't run into that issue as much anymore, 2.5 years into my job, but at the very start especially, you'd hear that all the time. And in my experience, there's just not a lot of information out there about home warranty or plans specifically. So it can cause a lot of confusion out there. And so that's why it's always good just to, call your rep, ask what you have. Just like, unfortunately for all those going through the home insurance, on the other side with fire and the San Diego floods last year is, even on the home warranty side, you want to make sure that you know what your coverage is. That way, if you don't have a specific coverage and you would like more, you can look into that. Otherwise, it also just kind of puts them in a mindset of, hey, like I'm prepared at least. I know what's going to happen. I know where I'm going to lie, where I'm going to fall if something else happens that we don't cover, something like that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100% to know, okay, this is in this group, this is in that group of what, and with all the changes going through insurance, as we all know, in any type of insurance right now, especially in the state with the fire hazards and
Right.
seeing, yeah, it's going to be an interesting ride this year to make sure you want to do your due diligence and get as much information as possible.
100%.
What can we do as TCs? How can we help our agents other than please watch this video so you know what's covered and what's not? Talk to our reps.
Yeah.
Is there things that we should be helping? Like I know I have all of my different reps because everybody has their different working relationships.
Right.
I have an outgoing email that goes every year inviting them to please send updated warranties in January.
hmm
What else can we be doing to get people connected?
Honestly, I mean, connection wise, it's not really the TC, but honestly, just communication. Like, I'm not sure if all of your agents or, in your experience, other TCs don't have, the actual reps information. Just in my experience, it's a lot easier to directly call your rep or email your rep. It takes me 2 to 4 minutes to place an order for somebody. So, I do 20 or 30 of those a week for, TCs that will just send me the orders. And, because we as the reps know specifically what is the coverage, we should have communication with our agents as well to kind of know, hey, are you more of a streamlined agent where you want a certain amount allocated for your buyers every time, or do you want to go this on a per house basis? because we're very a la carte. Hey, we have a really good plan at 490, and then we have some extra coverages for you if you specifically want something covered. And so, the number one thing for me, I guess, with TCs and agents would be, just how the timeline is. Sometimes I'll actually a lot of time I will get a home warranty order either the day before closing or the day of closing. And, if I have a full day of appointments, sometimes it's a little bit tough. I can always call my team, of course, and get that in for you guys as soon as possible. But it just allows us to have a couple days to, call the agent, call the buyer if something looks off, if something is added incorrectly, because we do run into that with TCs as well, as there's so many home warranty companies, there's so many different plans. It's impossible for you guys to even know what you guys are adding, specifically for those buyers if you guys are having to put in the order for your agent. And so I'll run into, issues not issues, but I'll run into mistakes all the time where it's, hey, we have a platinum plan here, but then an air conditioner is added. You don't need to do that because the AC is already included in that platinum plan, and you're essentially losing $90 of home warranty budget by adding that coverage. And so, you know, for a lot of us reps, I work with a lot of agents here in San Diego. So, per order per month, it's hard to get every single one and notice, hey, this came in as a gold plan with a specific coverage. It's basically no use to you, if that makes sense.
No, that makes a lot of sense because I know I've run into that and little nitty gritty things.
Mm.
So with ADUs becoming so popular and everybody trying to add them on, I know I've had to educate a couple of my clients that no, that's a separate policy for a different structure. At least that's what I've experienced. Can you touch on that and how HWA handles that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I'm glad you said the way HWA handles it, because I'm not 100% sure how every company does, the way that they do business. It is I believe it is very industry standard. Like, hey, we do duplexes, we do triplexes and quadplexes. We don't really go above that, like a huge apartment building. You can kind of get creative with that. Um, and can you repeat your question one more time? I know I'm missing
Oh,
something.
no, you're all good. So if you've got an ADU, you got a guest house, you got a
ADU.
casita. I
Sorry.
have agents who didn't understand that that's a secondary, like the amount it needs to be increased because you're doing almost two policies.
Yeah, correct. And the cool thing about that is you can do it a couple different ways. So some of my buyers and their agents, what they'll do is, because especially we're very cost effective. And so what you can do, especially with a duplex, a quadplex, you're more inclined to ask for more in that home warranty budget. And so you can actually put individual home warranties per home if you would like to do that. That way they have like a full coverage cap for each individual home. Most people don't do that because most ADUs are new and they typically, don't need a ton of coverage for that smaller unit. However, with HWA, what you would do is, if the home is separated, so it runs on its own plumbing, it has its own electrical, it most likely has its own water heater and things like that, you would do a duplex. So even though it's not actually a duplex in the home warranties eyes, we're covering two units on that same property that are separated. Now, if you had, let's say, a casita that's attached to your home, or a grandma suite is what a lot of people like to call it, is we call it a guest suite, guest home. And so that will use the same water heater, the same HVAC unit, all the same systems. It's just attached to the home. And so we'll call that an additional coverage, the guest home suite. It's $250. The cool thing about that one is you don't have to add, other appliances in there. It comes in it because it is a little bit more expensive. It's 250 bucks. So you don't have to add the secondary dishwasher or the secondary appliances. It's included with that.
That's
Yes, ma'am.
awesome because that does help. Like, well, it's a differentiation. Basically, it's does it have a separate system, then you go to duplex. Otherwise, if it's shared, then you can do that. My
Yeah.
other fun one that I've run into is pools because out here having saltwater pools versus jacuzzi versus regular pool is what's the thing we need to be the most aware of other than differentiating? I know the saltwater does cost more because of the process and all the pumps and everything, but
Right.
what should we be doing about that to help me as specific as possible?
Yeah, exactly. And so every company again is different. I apologize, but most companies are the same in terms of cap coverages. I believe most of our competitors are about 2,000 to 3,000 is typically the max you see on the pool. Ours is five, so it's a little bit higher. Most people do have a smaller cap coverage for saltwater, just like a tankless water heater. We all have smaller caps there. Those systems are usually more expensive, and so typically it's a little bit lower cap there. What we all do and what we all don't differentiate from is we do things outside of the pool. So we cover the pool suite motor, the pump motor, the electrical, the plumbing. We don't actually cover inside the pool. So some companies may cover jets. We do not. However, if you have like a cracked tile in your pool or the actual bottom layer is cracked or something like that, that's what the homeowner will take care of on their own.
That makes total sense just because of the difference of all the support documents and everything. Um,
Exactly.
so basically what I've done before and walk if you could walk us through if we've got to place an order or excuse me, a claim, typically I've contacted you to CC you with the agent and here's a copy of the confirmation that we have on file. What are some other best steps? Because trying to sending your client who's already frantic, call this 1-800 number and maybe they'll get back to you in 2 weeks and we have no hot water and all the
Right.
drama. So how can we mitigate that and provide the best service?
Absolutely. I can't stress this enough, but call your guys' rep, okay? So we all have cell phone numbers or emails. If you don't have your rep's cell phone number, get that number because just like all home warranty companies, we're not emergency services. So they're most likely not going to send someone out there immediately right now. Sometimes you can get a same day appointment. We have done that, of course. Typically, you have to give me that call early in the morning. But my number one advice is to get your rep's cell phone if you don't, because there are things that we can do. And me and my team, that's what my whole business is about. It's about customer service. It's about helping clients and making their bad days really good days. Even when the claim is going to be denied or it's a bad situation, I still want to be there and handle that client because the worst thing that you can do is have a claim denial and no communication, and then they're sitting there, especially if they're a first-time buyer, like, what do I do? I have no one to call. I don't know what to do. They're going to call that agent. They're going to be super upset, and the agent's also going to be super upset, the home warranty company. So what I want to do is I just want to get ahead of that at all times. That's why I do offer my customers a homeowner setup call. Whether it's the agent, if the TCs would like to do this, that would be fantastic. Is just a quick intro like, hey, this is Anthony with your home warranty company. He'll take it from here. That way I can actually set up a call with them or at least offer my cell phone. I can text them. They can feel comfortable to actually go directly to me with a claim. So my personal team can actually watch it. It's not just me, so that's a good thing as well. Is we have a dedicated escalations manager. She's only dedicated to three other reps here in the country, and so she's solely dedicated for me and my customers, especially, and a couple other reps here. And so the benefit of that is communication. The customer understands when they're actually going to have their appointment. And most importantly, though, is if there's a snag, if that contractor misses the appointment, that's going to happen in home warranty companies or all contractors in general. It's not just home warranty companies, which people also don't understand. Sometimes contractors aren't the greatest at business communication. And so a lot of them are really good at what they do, just not great at communication or not great on the business aspect. And so with us, that's what it really helps with as well. We can communicate with them. We can reassign them immediately if there's something weird with the technician or they're not getting back to us in a timely manner, something like that. We can always do something like that as well. The also benefit of calling your rep is even though it's insurance and there are claim denials and there's out-of-pocket costs, sometimes we can change those things. There are times I've gone up the flagpole to my CEO personally, and gotten a certain claim overridden. That doesn't happen often, but we can do that. Most likely is we can help with out-of-pocket costs. If they're an agent that is using us or they want to work with us and we want to work with their business, we can actually help pay for some of that stuff. So even when you have a certain costs, like, hey, we're going to cover $1,000, but your total cost is 1,800. Sometimes we can help cover the full 1,800. And so that customer is not only super thrilled that they got help, but they didn't have to pay a dollar. And so home warranty companies are really good at saving money over versus time. So that's kind of the deal you're trading off with typically is you're trading off an immediate, hey, I have a contractor out here that's going to come fix this. However, you also end up saving a lot of money that way. Typically, what we'll see is, a contractor will severely overprice something, whether it's an emergency service or not. So that's what also a benefit of a home warranty company is even though, even if you had a claim denial, there are still ways I can help you. And that communication portion helps with that. Hey, still communicate with me if you're getting the system replaced or fixed. Let us know what the bill is, and I'll send it to my team Jackie and say, hey, is this a normal price for a water heater, replacement? And I'm pretty familiar with certain costs now, but some of that stuff I lean on Jackie for, especially just because she's a 20-year expert in this business, and that communication is just vital to me in my business for sure.
100%. And you actually jumped right into what was going to be my next question about is
My
it
apologies.
nice? Perfect. That worked out great. And then obviously because you're in a business where, repeat customers and everything else. So does your company reach out then like on the 1 year anniversary mark to say, hey, would you like to extend it, blah, 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 and do all that packaging for the buyer?
Yeah, absolutely. If I can promise you one thing about a home warranty company, any of them, is that they're going to call you or reach out to renew for sure. So every company is going to want them to renew. Some companies out there will auto renew. I don't know if that's still a thing, but I know that was a thing in the past. So just be aware of that if your home warranty company in your contract, if it says that. However, my company will typically reach out 2 to 3 months before that last date, see if you want to extend, see if you want extra coverage. You can do a multi-year for discounts, and as well as they'll do promotional opportunities either 3 or 4 times a year or something like that, maybe a little bit more frequent. But
One thing. Well, last thing, what is the biggest nightmare that you can think of that you've ever had dealing with a home warranty? Like, what's the one where it's like your go-to terrible story?
go to terrible is always going to be a massive plumbing leak because of the timing. So, if timing is everything with home warranty, if you don't communicate properly, you can, like you said, it's 5 days later, 10 days later, and that customer can get really pissed off at that time as well, especially if it's water, because home warranty companies are not going to cover secondary damages. That is for home insurance. Even if your contractor, I had a client not too long ago. Claim went great. They fixed their machine, and he didn't properly put the drain line together. And so the contractor, obviously, who's there the next day, was a great contractor and handled everything. But that's something that the home warranty company isn't going to cover. We helped out. That's where communication with your rep is very important. If I didn't know about that, that customer would be fully out of pocket. And so we also helped him on our end with that through an exception. And so, but if how many thousands of claims are going to happen every single year with clients that don't have contact with their rep or don't understand that. And even with communication with your rep, it can go as far as on the home warranty side, like authorizations can be holding a claim for a couple extra days because they're trying to get more information, and so that can cause delays, which people don't, obviously they don't see or know about. And so that's why, having us or a team, a rep, to help push that line and push the ladder is very important.
Well, I really appreciate. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, no, sorry. I was just getting back to your question, but a massive plumbing leak is, especially on a Friday night or a Saturday
Oh
night
yeah.
where not a lot of room to react. There still is, obviously, if you have someone to answer the phone. But a massive plumbing leak is always a big one because of the secondary damage. The client is also very highly stressed out, of course,
Mm,
especially if it's a sewer issue. Those are the most unfortunate ones.
totally. I remember one of my first files I ever did, and we didn't go the home warranty route, but we had my agent was dual ending and the pipe burst the day of recording. We had to go back and try and figure out what time, whose insurance covered it. I mean, luckily it worked out great because we had a lot of really
Oh,
great
good.
communication and that agent was amazing. But that has stuck with me for years and years and years. Like, if things are going to happen, they're going to.
Absolutely. And, kind of like what we touched on very early was just about, about plumbing. Things can happen super quick, or things usually will take a lot longer to fail. Plumbing usually can happen. I'm not surprised ever at the timing of a plumbing leak. Usually they are all honestly pretty early as well in the process of a new buyer moving in. A lot of pipes here, just so everyone knows, if you don't know, is a lot of pipes here in San Diego are very old. We do live in a lot of mountain or hilly areas. Like I live in San Marcos, so there's, soil movement as well. So just be aware of, obviously a home inspector can't rip every wall down and check every inch of that home. Just try to, do your clients a justice, or at least communicate with them, like try to get a sewer scope, try to look at much plumbing as you can, because also it can change with the frequency of usage. If you're a family of five buying a house from a family of two, you're going to be using those systems a lot more, and those systems are of a higher chance of failing.
That totally makes sense. Well, I so appreciate your time. I've added your information to the chat. I'll make sure it's also up on the YouTube channel moving forward. I definitely am very grateful for every time you've been there for us when I've worked with my broker and needing to reach out to you. So thank you for your time. Is there anything else you want to make sure we know or shared before we leave?
No, I just thank you guys for your time. I really appreciate that. Anything you guys need, my contact information's available. Someone most likely that has it. So just or reach out to me personally. I have an Instagram and Facebook as well. But yeah, just I'll leave everyone with this again. Call your rep and just make sure you have a good relationship there, because they can do things for you.
Definitely. Well, thanks again for your time. Thank you everybody for joining us today for Why with One Stop. Next week's going to be about listing presentations and how we can set you up for success from the start. If you have any questions, call me. I'm Sam Hayes, 619-993-7264. Always verify everything with the broker of record of the file you're working on. Have a great day. Thanks again, Anthony.
Hi guys, thank you.